Hello, and welcome everybody to the July 2025 edition of Let's Talk, and what is undoubtedly a very late Let's Talk at this point. In fact, it's late at the time that I'm recording this, and I don't even know when I'm going to have the time to put it together and actually get it up to you guys. So when it's out, it's out. I apologize for being so late, but there was a very good reason for it. I was so distracted by a couple of the series I've been working on trying to get those finished, and it would have been very weird if I had been like close to done, but in this strange limbo where they weren't quite there yet. So I wanted to prioritize those before I put this update out. And now I can definitively say that they're done, but I'll talk about what those are in a minute. First things first, though, I want to go over technically three items before we get started. First things first. Holy crap, guys. It is hot out there. I know some of you got dumped on this past week and a half, and even still, once that's done, it's going to continue to be hot. Please stay hydrated, stay cool, stay in the shade or indoors as much as you possibly can. It's crazy. These summers are getting more and more volatile because the world is in absolute shambles, and I just want you all to take care of yourself. I step out into that sun, and every single day I go, man, I am worried about other people because I know I'm in hell, and I am sure that I am not the only one. It is so bad right now. Please make sure you're drinking lots of water, getting your electrolytes, make sure that you're taking care of yourself and not just dying out in this crazy summer heat that has only just been getting started, too. I know by the end of this month, it is going to be at its absolute worst in most places, so I'm just pleading with you all to please take care of yourself. I had to get that out of the way first. Next thing, though, in fact, it's two things, technically. I just want to allude to a couple of topics from past updates from months ago. Two things. One is going to be extremely vague, so you're probably confused, but I talked about it, I think it was either March or April. I wanted to go over something big before the end of summer. I think that now the only promise I can make is that big thing is going to happen before the end of the year. I don't know. We'll see. I just haven't had time for it. And like I said, I've got so many other things I'm focusing on at the moment. So it's probably not going to happen until I have a lot of breathing room. And right now that's not looking until like September, even October at the earliest before I get to that point. And again, super vague. I can't tell you what it is. So if you're remembering that topic and you're like, whatever happened to that? Well, that's why. I've just been so distracted by other things. And speaking of other things I promised, indie games, I like a summer of indies that I was hoping to work on. I'm still trying to get through the last of my prerequisite checklist. I'm very close. I've got one big thing that I'm working on this week, actually, and then I've got two smaller things that I hope to have done before the end of the month, and once those are done, then I can start focusing on a bunch of indie games. I'm getting close, but I want to have it all done before the end of July, and again, we'll go over all of that today, what those things are. But Summer Indies is close. I'll probably have started on it by the time you guys get the August Let's Talk. Lots and lots of indie games that I'm going to be going through one after the other. It's just going to be a string of them, and then they're all just going to get kind of trickled in the schedule here and there between a whole bunch of other things. And hopefully you guys will get to see a lot of those indies over the course of the next several months and years, in fact. It's going to be a process. I mean, I've got my list here. I've got my indie list in front of me right now. How many games is this? I haven't even actually counted. Almost 30, 27 games on here. That's a lot. But a lot of them are on the short side, under 6 hours. So I'll be going through them very, very quickly. But that is going to be my focus pretty much up until I absolutely have to stop everything to start recording Middle-earth: Shadow of War. It's going to happen sometime in the middle or even towards the end of September. And there's a very good reason for that, which leads me to the actual points of emphasis and discussion today. So first things first. I finished 2 Let's Plays these last 2 weeks, and those were the things I wanted to get done before I uploaded this update. The first of those was Pikmin 2, which you guys probably already knew was coming based on the schedule post that I put out at the beginning of the month. I don't know if this update's going to make it before or after the episode goes up, but either way, I just want to explain how this series is going to work. So I did my Pikmin 1 Let's Play back in 2023, technically ended in 2024, like the first week of 2024. And then I waited about a year before I jumped into the sequel, and it was March, actually, when I started recording that one. And I got about halfway through the game before I had to take a huge break because of Pokemon Black and White 2. I ended up recording that entire Let's Play in between the two halves of my Pikmin 2 Let's Play. So got that entire thing done, then went back to Pikmin 2 and recorded the rest of it. It is not a 100% complete Let's Play. I made a promise with myself that I wasn't going to push myself to do that, knowing that Pikmin 2 has a reputation. And I will say, 90% of the Let's Play, it was a very positive experience, but there was that 10% where I realized, oh, this is why this is the black sheep of the series, and I was like, yeah, I'm glad I didn't commit to 100%ing this game. But I still played a lot of it. In fact, just to give you an idea how long this Let's Play is going to be, my Pikmin 1 Let's Play was 19 episodes long, or was it 19? Yeah, it was 19 episodes, technically 20 in-game days, but 19 episodes. And Pikmin 1 is a very simple Let's Play format because you do a day, that's an episode. Each day is 17 minutes long, and once it's done, once the timer runs out, that's a perfect episode length. Pikmin 2 is a different beast, though, because while it has the same time limit restrictions, time stops for most of the game's playtime for a bunch of different things that you're expected to do, which mainly boils down to caves and dungeons. As soon as you enter one of those things, time stops, and you're at the mercy of your own progress. So, just to give you an idea, I played the same number of in-game days in Pikmin 2 as I did in Pikmin 1, 19. However, 19 does not equate to 19 episodes. It's many more than that because many of these dungeons and caves can take anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour and a half a piece, if not longer if you're looking at some of the really late endgame caves. So this Let's Play is going to be much closer to 40-plus episodes long, especially because I still only recorded these at 15 to 20 minutes a piece. Now, Pikmin 2 is going to be going up on Friday, which you might know is a weekly upload date. Just like Abzu, where I was only doing shorter episodes to kind of drag that Let's Play out a little bit longer, I'm actually doing the same thing with Pikmin 2. Now, this is for a couple of reasons, one of which I did originally start recording this Let's Play with the intent of it going up twice a week, so that was a little bit of a mistake on my part, but it just kind of ended up that way. But the other reason is probably the more important reason is I was actually heavily considering getting rid of my Friday upload date just because I've been trying so hard to keep up with things, and I figured whittling things down to 6 episodes a week was going to make my life a bit easier, but in the interest of still keeping daily uploads every single day of the week, I am just going to make Pikmin 2 a very long Let's Play where the shorter episodes only get uploaded once a week, but that means that the Let's Play drags on for a very long time. This is just to buy myself time as I move on to other things. And when the Let's Play is all done, the cadence of it will be about the same as Pikmin 1's. It's just that as it's coming out, it's going to be rolling out really slowly. So if you're looking forward to those episodes, I'm sorry, but you're only getting one a week, and they are going to be on the shorter side. But this is, again, just so that I can maintain my daily uploads in their entirety while I work on a bunch of other things. Now, the other Let's Play that I finished, and this is the one I finished actually just a couple of days ago, is Animal Crossing New Horizons. I have finally recorded the last of that series. It is done. I still have to edit it, but I've recorded it in its entirety. I've got nothing left to do. I don't even have to turn on that game again for the remainder of, honestly, forever. I might come back to it someday, but honestly, I'm just so glad to be done with it. Man, that was such a long Let's Play. I looked at my playtime counter for just this Let's Play because I'm recording it on a different Switch than my usual Switch, because I actually have two. I have one that I specifically use for recording and one that I use for, playing on my own. And on that Switch, I have put in just shy of 300 hours into just that save file, the one I use for the Let's Play. That's how much Animal Crossing I had to record, and that is why it was such an exhausting Let's Play. That's why it took me so long to get through this thing, is because there was so much that was recorded that never even made it into the videos just so that I could keep progression steady, and it just made this experience drag. As much as I enjoy Animal Crossing, I was so ready to be done when I finally hit that point, and I'm done. I'm finally done, and I can tell you now definitively that final episode is going to go out on September 30th. So we still got a few months to go of Animal Crossing, but I'm just happy to be done with it. And of course, that leads into what I was saying before about Middle-earth Shadow of War, because that's the Let's Play that's going to follow Animal Crossing. So until I get to that point where I'm close to needing to record Middle-earth, I don't have to touch any other big AAA games except for my current series that I'm trying to finish, which, let's move on to those really quickly. This week, I'm going to be recording Destiny, finishing out the final shape. Like I said, I wasn't really in a huge hurry to get that done, mainly because I don't have to record all of the episodic content, but I did figure, hey, I should probably at least get the final shape stuff done before the next expansion comes out, mainly just for aesthetic purposes. And the reason being is that when the new expansion comes out, there is going to be a bunch of changes to Destiny's overall look and UI. That's going to probably be very confusing and won't match what the final shape looked like, but also because there's a huge number crunch happening to the game. Like right now in the game, damage numbers are in 5 and 6 digits regularly in most cases. Like you can get numbers as high as 999,999 with certain effects happening and whatnot. And it's crazy. Like your regular shots do hundreds, if not thousands of damage. But in the new expansion, they are number crunching so hard that your regular shots are going to only be like double digits, for instance. And some of your highest damage is going to barely crack 4 digits. And that's going to look weird if I record the final shape in that environment. So I'm going to just try to get it done now. Finish it this week. It should be relatively straightforward, again, without the added pressure of going through all the episodic stuff. I'm just focusing on the expansion. So once that's all done, then I will move on to finishing up my last 2 things on the docket before I move on to anything else, and that is Mario Party 5 and Super Mario Galaxy 2. Now, I haven't started Galaxy 2 just yet, but it's probably not going to be too difficult to get through that one. It's certainly going to be longer than Galaxy 1 was, but Galaxy 1 is something I was able to get done in like 4 days. So I don't think Galaxy 2 is going to take me much longer than like 2 weeks at the worst, even though I am going to try to go for 100%, which is actually something I've never done before in Galaxy 2. I don't know. We'll see how the green stars end up turning out, but that is my plan, at least for the time being. And then Mario Party 5 is very simple. I still have 4 boards left to record on that one, but I could honestly get all those done in like a day. It's just that, man, Mario Party 5 has been kicking my ass. This has been by far the most difficult of all of the Mario parties, and I'm very shocked that it is. Like, I don't know what it is, but I expected 2 and 3 to be easily, or even 1 to be easily the toughest Mario parties in the series. But man, for some reason, 5 has just snuck up on me. Like, I really, really struggle with this one. So want to get it done, but I am having a blast with it. And I kind of like the cadence of only recording 1 board a week, which, doesn't really cut into a lot of other things. Plus, that only takes like an hour and a half, so I might just keep at that pace. I don't know. Now, one last thing is the other mystery game, quote unquote. I said last month that I had 2 games in mind to replace Abzu with, one of which ended up being Pikmin 2, and this other mystery game that I still can't talk about. I said whatever gets done first, that's going to follow up on Abzu. It ended up being Pikmin 2. The other one I am still working on completing. I think I'm going to save finishing that one until after I have done... In fact, I'm kind of grandfathering it in to my summer of indies, and it'll make sense why. I guess that gives you a little bit of a hint as to what kind of game it is, but I'm going to grandfather it into that and make that my first game that I finish after Mario Party, Destiny, and Galaxy 2 are done. And then I'll work on that, and that'll come somewhere down the road. I am on a little bit of a time limit, though, because I am, and this is something I don't generally like to do, but I actually didn't buy this game. I'm playing it through one of the subscription services, so I technically don't own it. So if it ever gets taken off the subscription service, well, then I'll just have to buy it, which I probably will. It's a very, very good game. It's just that as of right now, I'm technically on a little bit of a time limit with it, but I think I can give it a couple more months before I really have to worry about that. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, that's another thing that's on the docket. And then we get into the indie games, which I'm actually just going to read you guys off a list of all of those because I don't know if they're all going to get done, and technically I am stretching the term indie here because some of these aren't technically indies, and some of them are actually straight up explicitly like first-party games. They're just on the short side, but they just kind of it's just an amalgamation of a bunch of games that I would very much like to get around to. I even see actually one AAA game in here. I'm actually going to delete that from my list though because that doesn't belong there. That should be in another category. So let me get rid of that real quick before I accidentally read it out loud. But these are just... When I say indies, they're not all technically indies, but a lot of these are games that are on the shorter side, or games that are very singular, different experiences that are unlike anything else. And I'll just go over them right now. A lot of these are games that I've already covered in Variety, too, so you're probably going to recognize them, and I do intend to finish those, or possibly even just restart them. So, those games are Sable, Gris, The Pathless, Pacific Drive, Monument Valley, which does include its sequels, Outer Wilds, Chants of Sennar, What Remains of Edith Finch, Ender Lilies, Quietus of the Nights. Is that what it is? I think that's what it's supposed to be called. I didn't actually write down the subtitle here, so I just had to remember that off the top of my head. Sea of Stars, Icy, Cassette Beasts, Gravity Rush, Quantum Conundrum, Cocoon, This War of Mine, Return of the Obra Dinn, Sakuna of Rice and Ruin, Haunting Ground, Never Alone, Night in the Woods, To the Moon, Little Misfortune, Mirror's Edge, Cuisenaire, Miramasa the Demon Blade, and Pocky and Rocky Reshrined. You might have noticed a few oddballs in there. That is very much intentional. And the game that I am already working on, I did not include in that list. So that actually eliminates that in case you were trying to guess what it is. I don't know if that really helps all that much, but hey, it technically wasn't one of the ones I named off. So that's a lot of games, and I want to work on all of those over the course of the rest of this year, possibly going into next year. But they're going to be quick. A lot of them are going to be rapid fire. There is many games in here that I'm going to be able to get done in like a day, like just looking off the top of my head, something like Monument Valley or What Remains of Edith Finch or Never Alone. Those are absolutely games that I can just get done in a single sitting. And, you know, if I'm good enough at Mirror's Edge, that could be that way too. But plenty of those fall under that category. But some of these are also really, really hard. And actually, one game I'm realizing I didn't put on this list that I intend to is actually Hollow Knight. But I don't want to promise that one anytime soon, because I know Hollow Knight's actually a pretty robust game with a lot going on. And from what I've played of it, I'm not very good at it. So I definitely am going to need to get good with that one before I'm willing to commit to it. But it's a reluctant addition to the list. And these are all the games that I really want to focus on for the foreseeable future. I mean, I look at games like Pacific Drive and Sea of Stars, which I loved very, very, very much, and The Pathless, which I liked too, but I barely remember it, in fact, even though it was only a few years ago that it came out, and Outer Wilds, which I know has a lot going on with it, but I think I was throwing myself at it like too quickly. I wasn't taking enough time with the game to really figure out all of its quirks, because I was just trying to go with that game, and I need to take it a little bit slower. And then, of course, Sable, which was fantastic, but I really need to give that another go-around because I recorded that on Xbox One, but it ran like shit on Xbox One, so I need to try it again either on like PS5 or Series X or PC, which the latter is probably what I'm going to end up going with. I've actually been recording most of my stuff on PC as of late. It's just been going a lot more smoothly than a lot of my capture card console recording, so I don't know. We'll see. But that's a lot of stuff to go over, and this is completely an aside from all of my bigger projects that I have planned too, which, like I said, those will be later down the road. You might have also noted that some of these are just really old games in comparison to a lot of the others, like Mirror's Edge, that's a PS3 and Xbox 360 game. Haunting Ground, PS2 game. Quantum Conundrum, that's a PS3 and 360 game. Like, some of these are just not all that recent. I think This War of Mine is also from that era too. Just out of nowhere, these much older games, and they're just, I don't know, they're ones that just really hooked me. And I know they're not technically indies, like some of them aren't technically indies. Like Mirror's Edge is certainly not. It's a AAA game. It was made by DICE, I believe. But I see it as this more self-contained short experience that's just very, very unique. And I don't know. These days, those are what I'm the most attracted to when it comes to games, is instead of these big franchises, these big series, these big monolithic games, which is funny because I'm about to play a monolithic game made by Monolith later this year. But aside from games like that, I don't know, I'm much more drawn to these like singular, interesting, wild experiences that I think just hold a much more special place in my heart. They just make a bigger impression on me. I mean, so many of these games, like the ones I looked at in my variety series, almost all of them have been just living rent-free in my head ever since. And it's like, I got to get around to finishing all of these. I really do, because almost every single one of them, even Eastshade, which was a game about painting that wasn't really all that much. There wasn't much to it, and it was just such a random game to start off my variety series with. Even that is a game that I just can't stop thinking about. Like, maybe I do want to go back and try to finish that at some point, just because of how different it was. I don't know. That always makes so much more of an impression on me than, I don't know, the next Mortal Kombat game, which is, I know, a random example, or even like whatever God of War is coming out, or anything Last of Us adjacent, or BioShock, or any of these other big name ones. Like, they just don't interest me as much, which I know it sounds like I'm ragging on this eventual Shadow of War Let's Play, and I guess in a way I kind of am, but I'm mainly doing that just to, I guess, say that I finished that series. That's the real reason. I mean, I talked about this back when I said Shadow of War was going to happen, and the same applies to something like Dishonored or BioShock Infinite. Those are games that I mean, really just the OCD part of me is like, I got to get this done. I got to get these done. I got to see these series to a conclusion. I did my BioShock 2 Let's Play almost a decade ago, and the BioShock 1 is even older than that, so I really need to get around to just doing Infinite. I mean, there's so many of these games are just on the bucket list, but eventually I do want to transition into more unique experiences, and I feel like a lot of the games, if not all the games on the list I just mentioned, are they fall under that category a lot more. But That's it for now. That's everything I wanted to talk about this month. Thank you all so very much for watching, guys. I appreciate it so much. I really hope that at next month's update, at this time next month, I can say that Mario Party is done, that Destiny is done, and that Super Mario Galaxy 2 is done. Thank you all so very much for watching, and I will see you all in the next one.